G'day legends, we're in a 2-week break, so I thought let's have a little bit of fun. Why not make a video and go through some of the most favorite and beloved fighters of all time, or at least some ones that I think are quite fun to go over, and do an overrated, underrated list. And I'm sure it'll get some good rage bait going in the comments, because you're never going to make everyone happy with this sort of a thing, are you? But this is from my perspective, the way the fans see some of our most beloved fighters in MMA, and are they overrated or are they underrated by the general MMA fan base? It's going to be a damn good time. Let us get into it. Let's start off straight away with a controversial one that I am constantly arguing with the MMA fan base over, and that is Eddie! Eddie! If you've ever watched an MMA fight with Eddie Alvarez in it, and I'm sure you have, Eddie's been around for 1,000 years. Eddie! You'll have heard it. Let's put him over here. Where should I put me? Ooh, let's put me here, and then we can put the fight. Ooh, that ain't right. Hang on a second. And then we can put the fighter we're discussing here in the middle, and then we can talk about them for a little bit, and then I can decide whether or not they're underrated. Oh my God, I've done it again. Whether or not they're underrated or whether or not they're overrated. What a wonderful video idea I've had. Be sure to watch and share and subscribe and like. Eddie Alvarez, right? You've heard his wife screaming. You've seen him fight. I constantly have this argument with people in the chat when I bring up Eddie Alvarez, and they laugh at him. But as I've said to many people many times, to me, Eddie Alvarez is one of the best combat sports athletes of all time. In fact, I would say that he is criminally underrated. Where are we going to put underrated? Put overrated down here, and we'll put underrated up top. He is criminally underrated, if not one of the most underrated fighters of our generation, if not of all time. Every single time Eddie Alvarez, the underground king, goes to a fighting organization, he wins a belt. He wins it. You put him in an organization, he will win the belt of that organization. By hook or by crook, Eddie Alvarez is getting his hands on a Bellator belt, a UFC belt, a one championship belt, I believe. I'm pretty sure he won a one championship belt. Fuck it. Pretty sure he won a one championship, a BKFC belt. Anywhere Eddie goes, his wife is going to continue screaming at you until he ends up getting himself a belt. Now, do I perhaps sometimes overglaze Eddie Alvarez because I was a massive Conor McGregor fan, and I want to big up Conor McGregor's career? Maybe sometimes I do. But you know what? Eddie Alvarez is criminally overrated. Will he be the most overrated? Wait. Underrated. You know what? We got to add some arrows. There we go. Underrated fighters, they're up there. They need to be appreciated more. Overrated fighters, they go down there because they suck. They're overrated. Yes. So Eddie Alvarez, one of the most underrated fighters of all time in the modern era. And it makes me bloody upset. It does. It makes me very, very upset. Let's move on to another absolute Chad. Someone that we all love, Chael P. Sonnen. The biggest arms in Westland, Oregon. You don't know the things that I had to grow up and see. People would just litter. I had to grow up and see that. You think the clothes just put themselves in the hamper by themselves? God. Joe, we could do like a whole other tier list of just the greatest Chael Sonnen lines of all time, and maybe one day we will. Underrated. He's criminally underrated because nowadays everyone just takes him for his horrible bad takes. But Chael Sonnen's never lost a round. He's never lost a minute of a fight. He's been undisputed for a very long... No, look, memes aside. Chael Sonnen is like the consummate second placer, you know? If there was like a GOAT list for the second place fighters of all time, you know, your top 30 guys that never quite made it. I'm talking the Dustin Poiriers. You know what I'm saying? Those kind of fighters. The Uriah Fabers. I know Uriah Faber won a WEC belt, but he never quite got his hands on UFC gold. Was it WEC or Strikeforce? It was WEC for Uriah Faber. Chael Sonnen is one of these guys, like, even when Chael Sonnen wasn't in the UFC and he could have acquired belts outside of the UFC, his opponents didn't even bloody make weight. Chael couldn't get his hands around a belt. When he's fighting Anderson Silva, he's minutes away from winning gold, and Anderson just latches it up. Yes, the commission would have taken it away from him, because of the amount of steroids that was flowing through his system. But he was mates with Alistair Overeem. They were going out for dinner. Alistair was bringing him home cooked horse meat. It wasn't Chael's fault. Chael never got that belt wrapped around his waist wherever he went, like the Underground King Eddie did. Chael never got that. And because of that, and because he has become a bit of a meme, I think people do forget, man, just how much of an absolute savage of a fighter Chael Sonnen actually was. And I would say by the modern fans' standards, Chael Sonnen has become an obscure meme, but has become actually underrated by the greater MMA fan base. Next one, we're going to do, let's do Ronda Rousey. What a picture. The best photo of Ronda Rousey ever taken, and the only one ever necessary. Ronda Rousey. You know, I'm going to create like a whole maybe new category for Ronda Rousey. Maybe fairly rated, because we all appreciate what she did for the sport while she was on the come up. But we all know how underdeveloped the UFC's women's division was. How underdeveloped the UFC's women's division was. Yes, there was Gina Carano, and yes, there was Chris Cyborg tearing it up outside of the UFC. But she really was that mainstream woman to come into the UFC and bring MMA, women's MMA, to the wider audience. However, we all know now that she was doing it in an underdeveloped division, just off an armbar and a bit of judo. So I think we all now understand exactly where she is. And even when we talk about some of the greatest women's athletes of all time, you know, we talk about Chris Cyborg, and we talk about Amanda Nunes, and we talk about Kayla Harrison and Weili Zhang and Shevchenko, and she's kind of been forgotten to the annals of time. I do think that we're going to leave Ronda Rousey right here in the middle in fairly rated. I don't think she deserves to go into overrated or underrated. Shocking turn of events here on the overrated, underrated video. Someone's not going in either category. We're going to put her in fairly rated. She's going to become part of the greater bracket itself. This is why you got to tune into every video. Crazy turn of events here. Let's move on to BJ Penn. Look at those lifeless, confused eyes. BJ Penn staring into the distance, wondering if the person filming this video is a clone. BJ Penn, I believe, for what he accomplished in his time and how good he is, BJ Penn's got that unfortunate Anderson Silva aura now. Like, now that time has moved on and BJ just loves the game and wants to keep fighting, everyone shits on BJ, but they forget just how quickly the dude managed to pick up a black belt. Not the way that Moneyberg gets to pick up black belts these days. No, he legitimately picked up a black belt. He won the lightweight title. He defended the lightweight title for years and moved up to welterweight, become one of the first few guys to ever be a UFC double champion. I think he was like the second or the third guy to ever become a UFC double champion. He's criminally underrated. I don't mind if you go on and keep fighting for a long time and have a bunch of losses. I can still respect what you did in your prime. And I think modern fans do really underrate BJ Penn. Yeah, I'm not going to do it as a sort of tier list thing, because I know we're so used to making things as tier lists. But they do criminally underrate BJ Penn more than they underrate Eddie Alvarez. You know, at least some people still enjoy Eddie Alvarez, but BJ Penn has just become a hollow and shallow meme, mate. And it's sad to see. In fact, he's become so memed, I've put him right off the screen. BJ Penn has already ascended into heaven, and he's gone off our screen here. Yeah, there's plenty of room, Doug. Feel free to fill in all of the space in the underrated area. Yeah, BJ Penn, criminally underrated to me. It really is, man. Unlike Nick Diaz. Nick Diaz, to me, is so overrated by the Diaz army. I get it, man. He's a boxer. Don't give a fuck, man. Don't give a fuck, man. And he smokes weed, man. I get it, man. I get it. It's 2012, and everyone's wearing tap out. And we gotta legalize weed in America. And Nick Diaz, I don't care how many times I get passion for weed, I'm gonna keep on fighting. And he fucking did jiu-jitsu. He literally got a submission while he was high as fuck. When they tested him, he had so much weed in his system, the commission were like, Nick, are you high right now while submitting your drug sample? And Nick is like, yeah, fuck. But let's face it, Nick was never a champ. in the UFC. He went on a sick run in the WEC, but even though this was before my era, I started watching UFC when Conor McGregor knocked out Jose Aldo. It does feel like the WEC was the Bellator of its time. So Nick was crushing it and he was crushing it. And I'm not saying Nick was a bad fighter. Nick was a great fighter. He was. But he was kind of crushing it in the B leagues. Well, they didn't really have the lower weight classes in the UFC at the time. But Nick was crushing it outside of the UFC. And then when he came to the UFC and they put him in there against George St. Pierre, he literally lay down. And because of the aura of Nick Diaz, the Diaz army will carry them to hell and back. Because he crushed it in the WEC, because he didn't give a fuck, because he smoked weed when it was still outlawed, because he would just lay down in front of GSP and clown him instead of taking the fight seriously, he carries aura, like this badass aura, and it carries him so much further than it should. I find Nick Diaz to be insanely overrated, and he's carried by the Diaz army. I said it. I said it. I said it. I said it. Next one. Petr Yan. I like Petr Yan. He's Russian Orthodox. He's a Chad. He's a boxer. He grew up in Siberia. He's probably in snow right now. He's probably right now watching this video on his phone while he is taking an ice plunge. Everyone around him is freezing to death, and he's just laughing. Petr Yan as a child used to get into like 16 street fights a day. I'm not making any of this up. Petr Yan's a psycho. But the Lucas Tracy brain rot of MMA YouTube. The Lucas Tracy brain rot of MMA YouTube. I'm as much as I love him and he's great. Lucas is putting him as the 9th best fighter in the ever. The 9th best fighter of all time. That's as over. I mean, how can you be more overrated? How can you be more overrated than thinking Petr Yan is the 9th best fighter of all time? He has to go in that category. I'm sorry. Brutally overrated by the UFC brass and Dana White and any American wrestler. DC, Dominic Cruz, DCs, both the DCs, Dominic Cruz and Daniel Cormier, probably Sean Brady, all the Aljo, most likely. You know the team, you know the squad. They all did wrestling in high school. He's the entire UFC brass and apparatus and the entire American collegiate wrestling system got behind Bo Nickel, and what a joke it was. Into the overrated bracket, Bo Nickel goes. Get out of here, mate. You are an overrated fool. Tyron Woodley. I need to do another career retrospective video on Tyron Woodley, because whenever we talk about the greats, people just forget about Tyron Woodley. And he's 4 or 5 title defenses. 4 title defenses. One of them is a draw, but 4 title defenses. Dude, when he was dominant, he was dominant. He really was. This is the problem with Tyron Woodley. When he was dominant, let's not beat around the bush like he does, funnily enough. He was a cunt. He was a prick to work with. He was an absolute anti-marketing machine for the UFC. Horrible. There's a time where they're doing an interview at the pre-fight press conference, and Tyron Woodley is literally just saying every single answer is BLM. Constantly bitching about never getting paid enough while never putting on an entertaining performance. But he was dominant. He absolutely was dominant. And is like the 3rd best welterweight of all time. No one ever brings him up. No one does a GOAT list and puts Tyron Woodley in there, and I think that is criminal. I think Tyron Woodley belongs in a GOAT list somewhere. He deserves a shout-out. He was damn good when he was good. But he's got the BJ Penn Anderson Silva effect, where the moment that Kamaru Usman snatched his soul, Tyron Woodley never won another moment of his life. There was not a single interaction of Tyron Woodley's life that he won after Kamaru Usman snatched his soul. And it's sad to me. It's sad to me. So I'm going to put Tyron Woodley in the underrated. I don't think people appreciate how good Tyron Woodley was when he was good. And he was good. He was, mate. There was a time where he was bloody good. Tyron, get down here. All right, stop trying to run away and scarpa, you little fool of a thing. Oh, this is controversial, isn't it? I mean, it does depend who you ask. You know, you ask a Westerner, he's completely overrated. You ask a Muslim fan, he's completely underrated. a lot of people want to put Khabib in like the top 10 greatest fighters of all time. I think Daniel Cormier has got Khabib in his top 4 greatest fighters of all time. And for that, I do think he needs to go in overrated. Listen, he kind of lost to T-Bow, you know? He did kind of lose that fight to T-Bow. And he was dominant. You know, he was dominant. I think it's 16 fights in the UFC, if I'm uncertain. Like, you can't do his whole 29-0 because so many of those were just cans that he crushed before he got into the UFC. But I believe that still leaves him at 16-0 or 14-0 in the UFC, which is dominant on paper, you know. At the end of the day, he could have lost that T-Bow fight, but he didn't. He got the W. And T-Bow fight, yes or no, he still never bled in the cage. Imagine if he did 16 fights in the UFC and he still never bled in the cage. Craziness. Crazy. But he's not the pinnacle that they put him on, because he did never really test himself against a dominant wrestler. And that is where, like, we got to see the styles make fights. He won his belt off Ally Quinta. You know? There are holes that can be poked in Khabib's career. Top 20 greatest fighters of all time? Yes. But just because of how high people have him in their GOAT list, I do think he is slightly overrated. I do think Khabib gets slightly overrated. And you say Khabib gets overrated, and people are going to lose their minds. But I think it's just because of how high a regard they hold of Khabib, even though he is a damn good fighter. He is an amazing fighter. Top 20 greatest fighter of all time. But I don't know about, you know, top 4 DC? Don't think so. I know the Muslim fans are going to have him as the absolute GOAT. Like, there are going to be millions of MMA fans all over the world that have him as number 1. And because of that, I got to say he is slightly overrated, because I don't think he is at number 1. Dricus du Plessis. He's going to beat Khamzat Chimaev. Yeah, remember that? Remember when so many people thought he was going to beat Khamzat Chimaev? I think it was like every MMA pundit thought he was going to beat Khamzat Chimaev. Like, I think James Lynch done a pros pick video, and everyone was talking about just how good and how dominant Khamzat Chimaev is, but we just think DDP is going to get it done. Bro, anyone with a microphone on MMA YouTube was like, I just think DDP is going to get it done. Khamzat Chimaev is going to gas out and DDP is going to get it done. Yeah, we overrated the fuck out of DDP. We overrated DDP. We did that collectively, chat. Henry Cejudo, man, I really do, man. Man, I really think that, man. Man, he's really... Henry Cejudo is really underrated, man. He is, dude. He gets shat on a lot because of, again, he's got, dude, this is... You know what this is telling us? Get out, right? Get your wins and get out. Khabib might have made the right choice. Get your wins and get out. Because if people see you start to fall off and start to lose, all of a sudden you're like the worst fighter of all time. Even though we're talking about an Olympic wrestler, double belt holder in the UFC. Yeah, the second DJ fight was a robbery, but it was still close enough with Mighty Mouse. What to be a robbery. And Mighty Mouse is the GOAT, literally. Like, if you can make a fight with the GOAT, a close enough to be a robbery, that's pretty damn good, man. As well as, you know, being around at the right time to snatch a second belt. I'm gonna chuck you in the underrated Henry Cejudo. I really am. Along with DC. DC, I believe, is criminally underrated. Criminally underrated. He was so good at light heavyweight that John Jones had to do steroids to head kick him and beat him. John Jones was scared of this guy that was shorter than him, fatter than him, less athletic than him, and older than him. John Jones was shitting bricks of this small fridge-shaped bastard when he is of the height where he should be a bantamweight or a lightweight. And he's in there he is easily the second best lightweight on the planet while John Jones is around. And John Jones is pumping himself full of picograms to make sure that he stays on top. Then once John Jones is kicked out of the division for all the picograms that he's doing, defends it against everyone else, like proves that he is the man. Even though DC might have been on steroids as well. But you know what I'm saying. Proves that he's the man of the man. And then moves up and sleeps Stipe, the guy with the most UFC heavyweight title defenses of all time. And then has a competitive second and third fight with Stipe as well. Yeah, he has to claw his eyes out while he's having these competitive fights. But still, I don't think DC gets the credit he deserves. I think because DC, like Chael Sonnen, has become the happy-go-lucky unk of the UFC, people disregard just how good DC actually was. I'm chucking DC in the underrated. Yeah, I'm putting him in under, mate. Cyril Gane. Bon Gami. Cyril Gane. People overrate this guy. Who has he beat? Who has he beat? Since Tai Tuivasa. Since he's beaten Tai Tuivasa. What has he done? Really? I mean, he lost to Francis with the grappling when Francis had his knees blown out. Tai Tuivasa dropped him badly after he had already beaten the hell out of Tai Tuivasa. He lost to Alexander Volkov. Like, what has Gane done? Why does he keep getting title shots? And why is there this feeling? I feel it too in the UFC world. There's this feeling that he's just going to get it done over Tom Aspinall. When Tom Aspinall has beaten every single person that they've put in front of him. The majority of the top 10 of Tom Aspinall's division, Tom Aspinall has beaten them. Yeah, Tom Aspinall's division is dog shit. I get it. But he's still beaten most of them. Cyril hasn't. Cyril lost on... Cyril's meant to be the heavyweight kickboxer. Go back and watch the first 2.5 minutes of the Jon Jones-Cyril Gane fight. Cyril was losing the kicking battle. The hands. Cyril was losing the stand-up battle to Jon Jones. He shot bricks in front of Jon Jones. He shot bricks in front of Francis. He shits bricks in front of Volkov. Why do we all have this feeling that Cyril's gonna get it done over Tom Aspinall? We shouldn't have this feeling. We're overrating him. He's not that... Listen, now, Cyril might get it done over Tom Aspinall, but that's because MMA doesn't make sense. And it's an illogical nightmare of a sport. That's why we love it so much, because anything can happen. But Cyril Gane shouldn't be carrying this vibe and this aura that he might get it done, man. This shouldn't exist with us, but it does. We're overrating Cyril Gane. He's going to get stomped in the first round. Yeah, right? You hear me, God? Lord? He's going to get... Listen, take JDM if you have to. Take JDM. If Islam needs to be the best, take him. Take JDM. But Cyril can't beat Tom Aspinall, man. I'm about to start doing a Dougie's Corner prayer video. Tom can't lose to Cyril Gane. And the fact that I'm even worried a little bit means that we're overrating him. We shouldn't even worry at all, man. We shouldn't be worrying at all. Sorokin is being criminally overrated. He's the boogeyman of lightweight. The boogeyman. Even though we had to pull his pants down so that a washed Charles Oliveira wouldn't... Oh, I know I'm going to hear that. I can see Toad right now. Toad from my live streams. How are you, Toad? Shout out to Toad. He absolutely loves Armin Sorokin. I can hear Toad right now just smacking his head against the keyboard in rage. Armin had to pull the old, my pants are coming off trick just to not die in the first round of a washed Charles Oliveira. And everyone's like, oh, he's the boogeyman. He's the boogeyman of the division. How? How is he the boogeyman of the division? Who is he beating? Who is he beating? Who is he beating that makes him the boogeyman of the division? Get fighting, Armin, and prove us why we're meant to be scared of you. Armin's being criminally overrated. He's good. He's good, but he's not this boogeyman that the entire division's ducking. I think Armin is sitting out, waiting to get his title shot because he knows that Paddy's grappling and Paddy's jiu-jitsu is a bit of a problem for him. And that Ilya's power and Ilya's center of gravity and Ilya's takedown defense is a bit of a problem for him. So he's just hoping that eventually whoever's the champ, they'll just get to him at some point. Am I rage baiting? Am I serious? Ugh, that's the fun game, isn't it? Anyway, that'll do. This is the overrated, underrated discussion. It's not a tier list. It's an idea. The video. This is the overrated, underrated video. If this is your first time here and you enjoyed this video, g'day, welcome. My name is Dougie. I make an MMA video all the time, and I go live all the time as well. It's a very active channel. If you want to know when I go live and you want to know when I make a new video, just hit that subscription button down there and the notification bell to know when all of that happens. Let me know what you think about all of this down there in the comments. I'm sure you've all got thoughts, which I want to hear about. I appreciate all of your thoughts. If you're one of the bloody legends of the channel, you're always commenting, you're buying other people's memberships, you you're involved and you're active, and I know who you are. You're one of the legends of the channel. Your names are up on the next slide to say thank you. This is an us experience. There is no channel without you guys. And when we do our live streams, we have our little picks competition, and this is for the best pickers on the Dougie's Corner live stream. Your names are up on the next slide as well. That's it for today, guys. I hope you all have yourselves a wonderful day. I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.